So today with this video, we'll be taking a look at Tsuyu Asui, otherwise known as Froppy, and attempt to figure out just how strong she actually is. So Froppy's quirk is Frog, which on paper allows her to do anything a frog can do. Which at first sounds kinda silly, but in practice is actually quite exceptional. And that's because in the world of My Hero Academia, animal-based quirks tend to be pretty amazing as they, in many cases, provide a plethora of abilities that of course possess natural synergy with one another. And so when made into superpowers in relation to a human body, you end up with a pretty amazing toolkit of abilities. When it comes to traversal and movement, Froppy has a lot more going for her than your average character. First and foremost, her instinctive posture differs from most as she perpetually has a bit of a hunch to her. And whenever she finds herself caught in a combat scenario, she typically drops on all fours and rather than running, hops around from place to place. And this is interesting because it's sort of unorthodox. Most combatants wouldn't exactly be used to fighting someone so low to the ground. And so if you were to have a seasoned opponent with a tried and true hand-to-hand fighting style or something like that, they might not be able to execute the entirety of their moveset against her. And at that, Froppy's leaping ability is nothing to scoff at either, as she can move a sizable distance in a single bound. The ability to stick to various surfaces certainly doesn't hurt either, and that's all without mentioning the insane grappling tool that is her tongue. So think of her movement to be like a lesser version of Spider-Man's. But then again, maybe it would be better for us to refer to it as different rather than lesser, because if the conversation is aquatic traversal, Froppy reigns supreme. This is a specialty of hers as she doesn't lose an ounce of speed or strength despite being fully submerged in water. And although frogs are indeed freshwater animals, Froppy has no problem doing the exact same thing in salt water. So all in all, the last thing you want to do is face her under the water. But you know what, let's take a step back to her tongue, because with it, Froppy can lift weights far heavier than she could with her arms, making it sort of like super strength. Although I wouldn't exactly call it that, simply because it's not really at that level yet. It's more like bodybuilder strong, being able to carry most people a good distance without strain. And in combat, she might use it kind of like a whip to hit opponents, which could be a pretty heavy blow. Beyond that, Froppy can secrete some pretty gnarly substances. Firstly, due to the fact that she can inflate her stomach at will, she can also secrete acid from the inner walls of it. Funny enough, if she wants, she can use her stomach like a pouch, storing items of a convenient size, which she can then regurgitate at will. Which could be useful depending on who she's up against, I suppose. But the next unsavory fluid happens to be mucus from her arms, which can be used to mask her scent, or even as a means of paralysis if enough manages to come in contact with the body of someone else. But the final really special trick she currently has up her sleeves would have to be camouflage. Amazingly enough, she has the ability to change the color of her body to match her surroundings, making her pretty difficult to spot if you don't observe her mid-process. And because of this, she even has stealth potential. And once again, going into that synergy aspect, due to the fact that she can cling to surfaces, mask her scent, and or suspend herself in air with her tongue, for most people, figuring out where she could be would be, for the most part, just be a guessing game. Now, if we're talking weaknesses, then Froppy's kryptonite would most definitely have to be extreme temperatures. Seeing as how frogs are cold-blooded by nature, Froppy is especially susceptible to particularly low or high temperatures. With things being too hot, she'd dry out and lose access to a number of her abilities, and if it's too cold, she literally shuts down entirely to the point of near hibernation. It's pretty bad. And it's for that reason that she specified herself to be a rainy season hero, keeping her ideal climate in mind. But regardless, Froppy is certainly one of the more capable young characters in the series today and has major potential for growth in the future. the topic of which we've extensively covered in our dedicated quirk evolution video on her, so I highly suggest you check it out if you enjoyed this one. Although she, for the most part, revolves around the middle ground of the speed and power spectrum on average, when it comes to team-based collaboration and/or dependability, as well as technical skill and intelligence, she is definitely top tier for her age. Overall, once again considering her age, I'd give her an A-. But with all that we've covered, what do you guys think? Leave me all your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed the video, I suggest you stick around with the channel, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an awesome day. I love you.